So you've described the Trinity of Evil as Obama, Oprah, and Jeremiah Wright.
Yeah, that's going back a couple of years now. I say
Okay.
that, yeah.
Well, explain.
Well, they come out of the Trinity United Church of Now Evil. That it says its official name that they are registered under is the Trinity United Church of Christ. But they were all three in that church. Oprah was there for a while. She left early. Obama was there 20 years. Jeremiah Wright was there until actually he got bumped because of Obama. The three of them, all evil, all in Chicago, all in the same nest, all in the same hellhole.
Evil in what way are you saying?
Diabolical, sinister. They would never go out and rob a grocery store. But the robbing of humanity and dignity that they do, the robbing of the minds, the washing of the minds of the people in Chicago, people look up to Oprah as if she's some sort of a person that is special, and whatever she says just causes them to bow down and worship. Well, now Obama, the same thing. Jeremiah Wright had 8,000 people coming to hear him preach, and he was preaching a preaching that was evil, evil in the sense of diabolical, for the purpose of manipulate. When you manipulate people away from truth, away from their own righteousness, away from their own well-being, when you manipulate a person into something, whether it's you call it a mind game or a con game, that's evil. And I think the worst thing you can do is take a person's individuality and their liberty through their mind. And that's what Obama does, that's what Jeremiah Wright does, that's what Oprah Winfrey does. That she manipulates a whole lot of white people too, by the way.
Okay, well, now here's where we're going to talk a little bit about, certain things that you might say that people might feel are unsubstantiated.
Okay.
I even want to know, like, okay, where are you getting this from? See, and before we go into this, it's like, you have people who are called conspiracy theorists, right?
Right.
But there's also conspiracy practice.
Okay.
There's actually conspiracies out there going on being practiced. Now, the conspiracy theorists, sometimes they're on the heels of the ones doing the practice.
Right.
But sometimes people just pull some shit out their ass. Excuse my expression.
I've heard the expression before.
And throw it on the wall and see if it sticks. So some of that is used to make the real conspiracy theorists look like they're crazy. Okay? Now, so this is why when we come with certain information, if we truly believe it's true, we have to be able to substantiate it in some kind of way. You got to show me some sort of, some sort of evidence that this is there. If you can't show me the cancer directly, show me that the guy's losing weight.
Right. I got you.
And I'll maybe say, okay.
I got you.
So, just like earlier, you said Mark Lamont Hill is gay. I don't know him to be gay. This is the first time I ever heard that.
Is he married?
I don't know. I don't know his personal life like that. This is what I'm just saying. This is the first time I ever heard that.
I tell you what.
Okay, we can move on. We can move on. Because you also said that Obama is gay. Now, he is married. How do you know that he's gay? Like, how could you say it with certainty?
My uncle used to say in North Carolina, he could tell a gay person by the top of their head from a mile away.
That's not good. That's not good.
It may not be the best proof.
No, what I'm saying is that's not good on you. Who said that? Your uncle?
Yeah.
Do you know what he's trying to say? He could tell by the top of their head.
I don't know what you mean by that, but let me say this. That
my viewers know what I'm talking about. That's not good.
Here's the deal. There are certain traits that people have. There's a word I've been looking for the last couple of days. I can't figure out what it is.
Effeminate?
No. For instance, preachers act a certain way. They kind of talk a certain way. After
certain charisma.
There's a word. It's not charisma. It's, God, I can't think of the word. Muslims have persona about them. If they've been in the nation for any period of time, there's a certain way that they kind of
Move,
articulate. You know,
even stand. I understand what you're saying.
There's a certain way of behavior that sodomites have that distinguishes who they are and what they do and what they believe. The Obama has that about him. It's very clear. But there has been information documented, and I forget the name of the person who has documented the fact that Obama, well, first of all, I met Larry Sinclair, who claims that Obama and he had a sexual affair when Obama was just a state senator in Chicago, that he and Obama had a sexual affair. I met him. I was at his press conference in Washington, D.C. at the press club when he made those statements public. I believe him. Larry's an avowed homosexual. He knows he's a sodomite. He's been that way all his life. And he said Obama picked him up in a bar. Obama said to him, you want to do this? He said, well, I need a few lines to wake me up. Obama supplied him with cocaine, the lines or whatever it is that they do. And they went off and did it. That's one substantiated evidence, and I trust that. But there are other things that he does that, for instance, you would never support legislation. You would never allow sodomites to reach the level of publicity and power and authority they have right now, because that's not in your spirit. And you pointed up the two ways in which sodomites, first of all, perceive themselves as such. Then they impose that thought, as you said, upon me, want to make me feel the same way. Well, that's what Obama does. That's what Obama has been doing because he has that mindset. He may be cool enough to mask some of his behavior with his wife, but trust me, the boy is a homo.
I mean, I don't trust none of these dudes as far as I could throw. You know what I mean? I wouldn't doubt that everything you're saying is true, but at the same time, you have to have shreds of doubt with certain things. What I will say is the homos have gotten a lot more out of his presidency than black people have.
You got that right. Go tell them, by the way. I hope they hear you.
Now, and it's crazy because we've been here how many years? 400 some odd years?
That's right.
This damn gay rights thing basically started in the 70s when they went and harassed the psychiatrists and psychologists and all that, and went to their meetings and made them change their manual on what is, it's called the DSM, their manual on what is a mental illness, and they made them take homosexuality
right.
out of that book.
Right.
Not because they found any new findings,
right.
Just out of bullying them.
Right.
Basically what
and
they
are
do,
bullies, by the way.
Oh, they are the biggest bullies on the planet Earth right now,
yeah.
And it's crazy. So that being said, they have now latched on to this whole civil rights approach to trying to get the things that they want, but it's like, hold up, wait your turn. Like if you really do want this, if this is something, well then wait your turn, because we've been here 400. How y'all getting all of this so fast? And especially on a so-called black president's watch. Like,
let me ask you a question. If the 5%ers had an issue, and I want you to think about it in this context, if they had an issue that they wanted to develop them, you had the power to issue it to them, and let's say an Asian people with an engineering school idea, who would you attend to first, the Asians or the 5%ers?
Of course, the 5%ers.
Of course. So if Obama's attending to the homosexuals after 400 years of slavery, Jim Crow, and everything else, yet he values that more than them, what does that tell you?
Well, but see, that could also say that he has no real power and that he was just a puppet put here to take the brunt of our anger for a lot of this stuff they're getting ready to pass. These aren't his ideas. All of this stuff was mapped out before he even got into office.
I've been talking to you for an hour or so now. When you say something that's of your particular belief that you're willing to die for, it shows up on your face. You have a way of doing that, and everybody else who not guarded or not acting do the same thing. It's on his face, this thing supporting him. So forget about the fact that he's a puppet for somebody else. He very well may be, but he loves this puppy, this of homosexuality.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. Okay, here's something. Here's something that I heard you say that I thought was kind of, all right, now where's he getting this one from? You said that Starbucks put gay semen in their coffee. Bruh. Now you see, and it's not that it can't happen, but it's like where does the information come from, and what proof do we have so that it's not going to make us sound like we crazy if we try to go tell some, yo, you know they put gay semen in Starbucks coffee? Like, oh yeah? What's your proof? Well, that's what Pastor Manning told me. What's his proof? Boom.
Well, I tried to give context by saying that in the turn of last century, Coca-Cola first began to bottle its drink.
Coke in Coca-Cola is cocaine.
Cocaine in there, which made it very addictive, made it taste very good, and it became a mega seller. You know, Dunkin' Donuts sells coffee, but not at the latte and cappuccino and the prices or the attraction of a Starbucks.
Dunkin' Donuts everywhere you go nowadays.
Yeah, but they're not as popular, as powerful as Starbucks. What makes Starbucks...
Not as expensive. They might be more popular.
Well, okay, all right, I'll give you that. Mm-hmm. But what makes Starbucks coffee so appealing and so appealing to a certain type of taste?
Because yuppie white people like it.
Okay, all right. But let's say, for instance, that, there's this fellow named Folger who claims that he lost 200 pounds on a Subway diet.
Right.
Is now under investigation for child porn.
Right.
They went through his house, his computers. The guy's probably involved in child porn. I don't know it to be a fact.
Right.
But corporations looking for an edge will cross over the line to make synthetic type of sperm and put it in as a part of their process. We don't know what goes into Coca-Cola. We don't know what goes into Kentucky Fried.
Well, we don't know what goes into any of this processed food.
Yeah, but Starbucks in particular is using this product. They're manufacturing.
How do you know?
It was first put out as, I think, as a spoof on Starbucks. It wasn't. It was.
You said a spoof?
Well, it was put out as something that was not correct. It's a spoof on Starbucks.
Okay.
And then when the pressure came, such as what you're advancing towards me, they recanted, backed up and said, oh, we were just joking. We didn't really mean that. We were just having fun with Starbucks. That's not true. They'd never do anything like that under pressure.
Right.
I'm not backing down.
See, I just feel like we have to be careful. This goes back to the conspiracy theorists and all that, because stuff like this, I don't know if they are. I mean, I'm not a big Starbucks drinker, although I do drink coffee and I have gone to Starbucks, and God damn it, I better not find out there's no fucking gay semen in my coffee.
Stop going then.
I go to Dunkin' Donuts more.
You're better off there. You're safer.
But we don't know that either, though.
Oh, you don't.
You see what I'm saying? We don't necessarily know. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to obsess and fear over a bunch of hypotheticals. Oh my God, what if there's this and that? I mean, there could be all types of stuff and a lot of stuff we do. I mean, they gave the Indians blankets with smallpox. You know what I mean? That wasn't even something you were supposed to ingest. That's just something that came in contact with your skin.
I'm sure you heard what happened down in Tuskegee as well.
Of course.
And if you had told the people there, or even some of the doctors and nurses who were involved in the process, that that's what they were doing,
right.
They would have denied it and
crazy.
said, yeah. Mm-hmm. So corporate America will do anything, trust me.
Okay. You've also said that black people never did anything before slavery? That we never built a boat that was seaworthy? Brother.
That phrase resonates very well. It must have been the way I said it, like the itch and then hell. No, black people are the sons of Ham. They built the pyramids. They built the most mechanized army, the greatest
We are the
social
fathers and mothers of civilization.
But below sub-Saharan Africa went absolutely blank. Nothing.
Below sub-Saharan.
But below the Sahara Desert in Africa.
Okay.
Sub-Sahara, all the nations below the Sahara Desert that runs from west to east in Africa, and to some degree, they have done nothing.
I don't think you're correct about
Well,
that.
let me
Would
tell you.
Nubia be sub-Sahara?
Nubian, no, they would be Egyptians. They were a part of the Egyptian.
Well,
story.
no, they started. They are the actual ones that ended up being the ones who built up the Egyptians. But Nubia was something separate, and it was more to the south. And I believe it might have been sub-Saharan
no, I think,
Africa.
no, if you check your I mean,
Where was Timbuktu?
Timbuktu was southeast, southwest Africa.
Well, I was going to say it was in the west.
Yeah, it's
okay. Is
in what
Nigeria sub-Saharan? Because Nigeria was a great kingdom too.
Yeah, you know, you're right in terms of great kingdoms, but what I was expressing with 75,000 miles of seashore, to have not built a seaworthy vessel.
That's not true, though.
But you can't name it that they did.
But
I mean, the
who
Vikings,
do you think?
The Vikings.
How do you think Columbus got here? He
Okay.
got here with the maps that came from the Moors, who are black people, because we were already over here. There's maps of over here before Columbus and all that.
You know, I think that oftentimes in our quest to build a history, we get a convoluted one. Because
sir.
let me say something. Let me say something to you.
I may have my GED, sir, but I have studied.
Wait, when I first joined this congregation, it was in a storefront building over on Amsterdam Avenue that up above it had been burned out. They just went in and dug out the place and started having worship there. Ultimately, after I became the pastor, the city condemned the building. Urban renewal was happening. We got kicked out. When I came to this building, it was abandoned, burned out, and everything else. But I've transformed it. I've transformed the community. See, if there had been great societies building great things, that would have been transformative, and you would see the end result of it continue in the people. Now, you wouldn't see people who had a great society building great nations still living under the present conditions that they're living in Liberia or in Nigeria. And the other thing about Nigeria, though it may have once been a great society in terms of a kingdom, it is perhaps the most oppressive to its own people right now than America is.
Right, but see,
so there should be some sort of a follow through. I mean, from the Nation of Islam, from Farrakhan, but from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to the 5 Percenters, there has been a follow through and a development. There has been no development from Africa. There's been nothing.
Well, see, but that is not something that's organic per se. Like, that was a program. First of all, we had many great civilizations. I mean, we taught this white man how to read and write. Everything that he knows comes from us. So if you're going to look at the civilization that exists now, that you might look at and say is white man's civilization, this is our knowledge. Before that, he was crawling around where? In the Caucasus Mountains.
Well, we didn't teach him very well, I'll tell you that.
Oh no, we taught him too well.
And
that's what happened. We
case,
taught him a little too well. Because we also taught him trick knowledge and how to master the original man. Okay. Which is why we did this to ourselves.
We're going to argue theologically here, but let me say this, that I have people that I teach, and some of them may rise to get greater degrees or accomplishments than I have attained to, but my impact will remain visible and understandable. If we taught,
and our impact is still visible.
No, if you look at us now, we're like a wandering people wandering around the planet, begging for an opportunity to come to America.
You're correct.
No one wants to, everybody talking about being an African American, but nobody wants to go there because they want now this lifestyle where it should have been that if we taught them what they now know, that we should have the beginning of that.
Not necessarily, no. Because everything goes through a cycle. You know, you have what's called lost and found, okay? And I'm sure you know of the axiom, you know, as above, so below. Like, this was all predicted almost for us to have knowledge, lose knowledge, gain knowledge again.
Everything in the entire cosmos is cyclical. It goes to
Exactly.
the moon.
So if you
the
know about the
sun,
precession
there
of
are
the
no-
equinox, you know at the time that we lost knowledge in Africa is in exact sync with the time that this planet went into a darker phase of the precession of the equinox. We are now coming out of that. Okay?
I
We are
don't,
now
I don't,
coming
I
out
don't
of
see
that.
black people coming out
Oh,
of.
trust
out
me,
of,
yes, we are.
I don't see
we get
happening.
more in touch with the knowledge
Listen,
of our true
I
selves every day.
I once considered, as I said before, I prayed as a Muslim for a couple of nights. I once considered that as a lifestyle for myself, mainly because I was so impressed with the FOI. I was so impressed with the selling of fish from Peru on Bedford Avenue, the clean dress, the upright, the strong character and the strong teaching. I was impressed with that. And I thought that would be something I'd want to be a part of. That within itself says that there's a start there, but it hasn't developed. You've got more men in prison now. Farrakhan took 1 million men down to Washington, D.C., and the prison population exploded. We don't take care of our children. We don't love our families. We don't put our lives on the line once we make that woman pregnant to take care of that child, to make sure that child is raised with a father.
We're not thinking right.
So we're not coming out of anything.
We're not, but see, we are.
We're going deeper
No.
We're going into extinction.
Actually, we are coming out of it, but see, when you plant a seed, you can't necessarily just see it grow right away. You got to give it love. You got to give it sunlight, water, and all that type, and nurture it in order for that seed to grow. I'm telling you, I'm seeing the seeds right now of us coming back into the true knowledge of ourselves, knowing who we are. You got more black people now dealing with meditation and trying to eat right and understanding their chakras and all things of that nature, where
I don't see it. I mean, I don't
well,
see it.
maybe you're not in those circles, but I am. Okay,
I'm in Harlem.
But
I'm in Harlem.
you got to
I
understand,
don't
you're
live
within these walls.
I live in this building. I
Right.
don't live in Westchester County.
Right.
I don't live.
But what I'm saying is, within these walls, you have your own world is in here.
No.
There's another world outside that's going on right now.
From these walls, I reach you and a whole lot of other folk.
Yeah.
So I'm not just isolated here. I mean,
you reached me, but did I reach you until now? You see, you never heard of me before.
Oh, I've heard of you.
You said the people up there heard
Yeah,
of
but
me.
I never listened to your music.
Oh, there you go. So you didn't hear of me. So you don't
Okay.
know what I'm about.
Okay.
Because I didn't reach you. I didn't come in. I didn't get to you in here. But if you was out there when my music came out, you couldn't help but hear it, because every car that was driving by was playing my album. So you had to hear it.
That may be true. I may have heard it and not even know what I'm listening to.
Well, anyway, all right, let's move on. Al Sharpton, Obama, you blame them for the racial division of the black community. I mean, can two people be blamed for?
I don't know if that's true. I think I don't blame them in tandem for as couples for doing it. I think individually they do it, and so when I talk about racial division, those two names can be mentioned. But
Right, but they're not responsible for the whole racial division. That's not what you're
I
saying.
got started long before they came on the scene.
Of course.
So, but they certainly are playing their part in profiting from it. So that's my point.
I won't disagree with that.
Yeah, my cousins, they were avid watchers in porn and had saw me on MILF Hunters.
Okay.
They saw me on MILF Hunters, and they went out and actually bought a movie and took it to my grandmother.
You're the only person, one of the few people that looks like you. In my case, one of the only ones that was light-skinned. Our family was light. Therefore, when we go to our village, and when I actually buried my father, I had to bury him. I had to bring a lot of AK-47s.